Hello everyone, this is Vornholt here for another build video for the Division 2. So what I have for you today is a build I have been experimenting with, and it is a build using the tip of the spear gear set. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So first up, specialization. So I am using the demolitionist specialization. Um, this will be really helpful because it helps proc the gear set talent that we have for the tip of the spear. So um, also it gives you 10% increased explosive damage, and armor kits repair 100% damage and boost weapon handling by 30% for 15 seconds. So this is helpful as well for the build because we're using the LMG and the exotic Pestilence. So pretty basic information here. Also make sure that you have the onslaught, the tier 3, so the 15% increased light machine gun damage on. Alright, and now we go on into the build. So just for your information, the tip of the spear gear set is a very niche gear set. Not many of us use it, but it's fun when you build around it. So the 2-piece gives you 10% signature weapon damage, the 3-piece set 10% weapon damage, and the 4-piece set gives you the aggressive recon. What this does is dealing damage with a signature weapon increases your total weapon damage by 20% for 60 seconds, so that's a very long time, and it automatically generates signature weapon ammo every 60 seconds. So this partnering here would make sure that your buff is up for the entire time if you use it correctly. So that's a huge buff duration, and the 20% is, so what we are doing with this build is just stacking up weapon damage to help with the Pestilence. So what the Pestilence does is it has this talent, Plague of the Outcast, with which hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. So this stacks up to 50 times. And then whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, all stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. So we're utilizing all the weapon damage that we get from this build into making the Pestilence debuff damage as high as possible. So with this build you can go up until 1,000,000 per debuff damage, so that's a huge help. And stacking a lot of weapon damage gets us to a total damage of 116.4 with the Pestilence. So that's a big uh, damage output for this build. So yes, so the guns we're using is the Pestilence. I have the military P416 here just as a backup with InSync. So this is a new talent we get from Title Update 10. It, when hitting an enemy, grants plus 15 skill damage for 5 seconds, and using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 15% weapon damage, and when both are active at the same time, the buffs are doubled. So you could get at the most 30% weapon damage from this build. And then for the mask, we have our first piece of the tip of the spear gear set. I have 15% weapon damage and I have 5.9% critical hit chance. So I'm stacking weapon damage and critical hit chance with this build. So with the mod, I have a 5.7% critical hit chance as well. For the backpack, I have the Guerrilla backpack from Seska. So this adds 10% critical hit chance for the set bonus, for the brand set bonus, core attribute is the 13% weapon damage. I would love a critical hit damage here, but weapon handling has been buffed in this update, so this is also welcome. So that's plus 7% weapon handling. Uh, that adds up to the demolitionist specialization when using an armor kit, so you could get 22% weapon handling if that's active, and then 6% critical hit chance and 17,000 armor on kill with composure as a talent. So while in cover increases your total weapon damage by 15%. You could use a Providence Providence defense as well, with vigilance, so that could add up to 15% headshot damage to your build, as well as a 25% increased damage here. But I'm looking for the 10% critical hit chance so that I could max out the critical hit chance we have here. So this build has 60% critical hit chance. Next up, we have the right combat vest. So this is the second piece of the tip of the spear we have. It has 14.5% weapon damage. We rolled this one to 6% critical hit chance with a 5.7% critical hit chance mod. And the talent for this chest piece is Specialized Destruction. So it increases aggressive recon weapon damage bonus from 20% to 40%. So imagine having a better buff than glass cannon without the downside for it. So that's a big difference right there. So I think the chest piece for this build is a must. Next up, we have the Contractor's Gloves. So this increases our LMG damage by 10%. This is named Petrov equipment. So I have a 15% weapon damage here. I have 8% damage to armor and a 12% critical hit damage. And then we have the third piece of our tip of the Spear Gearset. So we have the core attribute as 15% weapon damage, and then we have 6% critical hit chance here. And we have the fourth piece, the Trombley knee pads. So similar stats here, 15% weapon damage and 6% critical hit chance. And then what I have here is the assault turret. So this is just to help get the aggro from all the NPCs as well, so you can shoot safely and you can shoot longer with the Pestilence. But you could get maybe the Restorer drone or any other skill that helps you manage your combat. And then we have the Reviver here just for safety, just for that unintentional death in heroic difficulties and all. And then shade level here, I have it max, so nothing to see there. So we can go to the stats right now. So this build has 116,000 weapon damage, 60% critical hit chance, so we capped that, 57% critical hit damage, and 85% headshot damage. And when we go into the offensive attributes, this build has 107.5% all weapon damage bonus with a 40% light machine gun damage bonus. So, and if you include the composure talent there, so that's another 15%. So that brings us to more than 165 weapon damage, and that gives us at least when all the stacks for the debuff is present in one enemy, you could get up until 1 million tick per debuff damage. So that's a big thing. Yeah, so that is the build. I'll leave you with some gameplay showing this build in action. So if you have any comments or suggestions on how I can improve this build, do comment on the comment section below. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Pornope out.
That should get their attention. Head to the service entrance on the side of the building. Once you're inside, find a way to the atrium.
Doesn't it?
Fire detected.
Look at you, in your smug arrogance. You think you're better than us? You got the right to kill us? Huh? We got the power of life and death now! We're going to use it!
Vital signs critical.